I hope that you're having a great morning. So today we'll be talking about Ready Player 2. I remember talking about this book a while back, how when I read Ready Player 1, I really enjoyed quite a good number of it, but I didn't like the protagonist, and I just didn't like how that was such a wasted opportunity because there was so much more that could have been done with that story, but not much was done with it. But Ready Player 2, I remember picking it up and I remember reading that book and I remember absolutely hating my life. I remember absolutely hating the author as well because the sequel to this book, very successful book, it even had a movie adaptation, was purely made, it was purely made for the sole purpose of cash grab. It was purely made for the sole purpose of, making money. Now, I'm not really someone who takes an issue with an artist who wants to make a living. There is nothing wrong with an artist who wants to make a living, okay? The issue arises when the art is damaged or hampered by the desire for money, the hunger for money, right? And that creates a problem. And that problem is a very, very sick problem in book two because there are so many things that the author attempts to do, but there was no attempt to revise this or to edit this into a functioning, coherent story with any semblance of something that anyone would consider good. To be very specific, what do I mean by this? The author tries to achieve, a lot of attempts on human commentary on on capitalism and on wealth gap and the struggles people can have with that. And essentially what ends up happening is that through this he fails to express this through the characters. Okay, he couldn't write a shitty character in the first book. You think he's going to write a complex character in the second book? No. Number two, he does not really successfully do this with the characters that he already established in book one because he mischaracterizes them. Okay. Number three, he invents so many MacGuffins and so many new magical artifacts. They're not necessarily magical artifacts. This is a sci-fi book, but you get it. Essentially, he invents new artifacts, and that's that. The list goes on. He fails the characters, he fails the world building, he fails any thematic expression, and he fails when it comes to artifacts because he's inventing MacGuffins left and right, Deus Ex Machinas to solve every problem. And this was also a huge problem in book one, which it is in book two, Ready Player 2, a novel by Ernest Cline. He goes on to establish all of this. Technically, one of the problems that I've mentioned is the characters, right? So here he's setting up a particular problem for Wade as the character because now he's a new owner. You see, before in the first book there was a problem, a social wealth gap. There was a lot of essentially capitalism gone wild, and there were few corporations that had all the power, and everyone was poor. And you had this dichotomy, and Wade was one of the poor people. Now that he's one of the rich people, Wade would actually do something about that as a character. But Ernest Cline here is setting up a character flaw. And that character flaw is the character is not going to do that. They will essentially become the villain they will essentially become the power. They'll become the establishment. They'll become one of the top 1% of the top 1% in the world, and they'll be themselves very rich and share very little. And this story marks the introduction of a new type of oasis where you can feel the emotions and you can feel everything, and that is going to even make Wade super, super rich, way, way richer than he was. Okay, but what will happen is that this will be a character assassination because that's not something Wade would do. From the first book, Wade would never really do that. Wade would not really be doing any of that nonsense. Here you have Oni. Back in my office, I locked the door, lowered the blinds, and sat down at my desktop computer to read over the Oni documentation Holiday had emailed me. I was grateful that somehow wasn't there. I didn't want to give her the opportunity to talk me out of testing the Oni. Oni is this new, like it's the new gig. It's the new Oasis, right? That's what I kept telling myself as I plugged the Oni headset into my Oasis console. For the first 50 or 60 pages, the story doesn't really start, okay? The story doesn't really start. He delves in, but the story does not start for the first 50 pages. So this is also another inefficient form of storytelling because people don't have the time. Let's say let's say you are in the bookstore and you're trying to, pick out, okay? You're trying to pick out of this book and you open, and then the first thing you're met with is 70 pages of nonsense that does not contribute to the story in any way whatsoever. Because this is really sad. As you can see, days after winning Oasis, the contest, Wade makes a discovery that changes everything. This is the Oni, okay? Hidden within Halday's vaults, waiting for his heir to find, lies a technological advancement that will once again change the world, okay? And make the Oasis 1,000 times more wondrous and addictive than Wade dreamed. When it comes to new riddle, a new quest, a last Easter egg from Holiday, hinting at a mysterious prize. This is the plot. So I hope you can see how this book is terribly written because there is a lot of character assassination, way too many artifacts. The world building is riddled with artifacts that solve every problem that ever the characters come across. Can you not for once establish a mechanic? Okay, establish a mechanic. For example, if you eat food, you don't die. And then someone finds themselves stuck in a desert. Suddenly there is tension because if you don't eat food, you're gonna die. So the person has to engineer their way out of that particular problem. There's no MacGuffin that they find under their feet by just, sinking their hand into the desert and just flushing, few columns of sand to the side and picking out a shiny jewel that gives them the magic to fly, or some built-in radar into the earth that makes them find the city, the closest city that points to it, and even gives you those video game indicators where you can just follow these things, these indicators. It even tells you the distance. No, but in this book, that's what would happen. The protagonist has to always have to solve every problem for him. Can he not be an engineer? Can you not engineer your way out of a problem? It makes the story unengaging because the characters are always fed artifacts, MacGuffins. And there's character assassinations. Also, the characters are really not well written, given they are more complex now, and given that he wrote shitty versions of them back when they were not complicated. You end up running into a problem where the author is incapable of writing them. And then too many MacGuffins. And another problem that you will come across is that the plot of the story is this. With it comes a new riddle and a new quest, a last Easter egg from Holiday. This is the plot, hinting at a mysterious prize. None of that happens for so long into the book. So this is how to not write a book, okay? Don't write a book for cash grab. Please write a book so that you can at least have a good story. Number two, when you write the book, it's fine to have a terrible first draft, but don't publish that first draft for money. Please edit your book. Please put in the effort to edit your book. People are people. They're going to be bothered if you have nonsense. I hope that you enjoyed this video, okay? I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.